The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Patrick Nicoletich. I'm the CTO of ConnectSMART. Today, we're going to give you guys a brief overview of ConnectSMART SP. For those of you that are already using it, you're going to get a highlight of some new features. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the new stuff on the horizon, as well as the bulk of the features that are available to our end users today. So to give everyone a brief introduction to ConnectSMART SP, those that are familiar with ConnectSMART as a whole, we predominantly had a BI application for displaying charts, allowing NOC technicians and service managers and the executive staff to get insight, near real-time insight into the way their business is currently operating. That way they can make rapid adjustments to business processes, to the way they're engaging with other customers, the sales team, whatever it might be. For the most part, the overall goal was really to touch all areas of a managed services business as a whole, and centralize that information into one place. And so what ConnectSMART SP is it actually brings together our previous data warehouse component, our existing reporting, and our reports into one new, more modern platform, all based on the more modern HTML5 standards. Everything's under a unified interface. Really, the aim is to give you a single pane of glass to not only control what data is going into the system, but what information is coming back out of it and how it's currently displayed. So to walk you through a little bit about CSP as a whole, we have it broken into a couple primary different areas. One area is focused explicitly on your data, configuring how your information is brought into the system. The next area is reporting, which has to do with viewing your reports, scheduling those reports up to be delivered internally or externally to your customers. And then the last primary component of CSP is the dashboarding component. This is one of the newer pieces that we've brought to the product. It was just released about a month and a half ago, and we are continuing to extend it on an ongoing basis. And we've actually been releasing features in this area pretty rapidly over that time period, and we have a whole bunch of other new features that'll be released throughout the rest of this year, as well as Q1 of next year. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. And then one of the other areas that we're going to touch on, which is an area we haven't really gone into too much depth on before. It's something that we use a lot internally to build our integrations for our end users, and that's the actual pack editor component. And what I really want to start with is kind of the high level use of our application. Let's say you don't want to do any customizations to it. You have no real need to granularly adjust kind of what's available to you out of the box, and what that experience really looks like from the get-go, so that you kind of have a firm grasp on how that works and what you can expect when you're using CSP. So the first area that we'll want to focus on is the data section. Where does your information go? How does it actually get there? And so what CSP has built into it is the concept of a content store. A content store is really just a silo for your information. It's a bucket for you to lift information out of your external systems, drop it into CSP, and then you can tie your reports, your dashboards to it. And if you have external reporting utilities or dashboard utilities, it makes it really easy to hook into that store, which is driven just by a siloed database on the back end, so that you can actually integrate it with other tools directly. A store, in its most basic format, is really just the database. It's creating an empty database in our system that's meant to house your information. And the reason that we actually create a store and we allow you to create multiple stores is it not only allows you to drop production systems information in there, but if you have test systems as well, let's say you have replicated environments and you use them to test upgrades and rollouts, whatever it might be, you can actually set up a separate store for that and push that data over there. So that allows you to tie your dashboards and reports to your sample data rather than your production data. It gives you kind of ultimate flexibility with regards to how your data is contained in a place, as well as an easy mechanism for cleaning that back up. So it's completely portable. If you guys want a copy of your database at any point in time, we can create you a quick dump. You guys can actually create your own dumps. So it keeps it all nice and tidy for you, so you don't have to worry about intermingling your business data with whatever data we use to kind of facilitate you operating within the system. So to give you an idea of how we actually get data in there, the predominant concept is the pack. The pack is an integration that we've written. Right now we have 4 loaded into this demo system. We also have other integrations, and we're also continuing to develop more and more integrations for the platform. That way we can lift as much information out of your other systems as possible, store them into CSP, and what that really is to offload all of the necessary processing power to crunch your information from your production systems. Because as those that have experience with building reports or tying chart analytics to your production systems, sometimes you can end up in scenarios where you're locking different tables, and that can actually reduce the performance available to you when you're actually trying to use your live system, which, as we all know, is never a good thing. So the packs are really just there to pick up your info, dump it into your content store, and then it's fully available to you. What we really wanted to do was kind of make it easy and seamless, so that way you don't have to worry about configuring all these fancy integrations. I can walk you through actually setting one up, and that way we can give you guys a quick little preview. One of the things I just noticed is I already had the pack I was going to show you deployed, so I'm just going to go ahead and remove it. And then what we're going to do is deploy the NextToYou integration. And for those unfamiliar with NextToYou, they do customer satisfaction surveys. And what they allow you to do is when you send out your ConnectWise tickets in a closed state, it'll append a little area on the bottom that kind of allows your customers to give you feedback with regards to how your service was for the most part. If you don't use them today, we recommend using them. They're a great company, they have a great tool, and we actually lift up their information and integrate with CSP directly. So while I was just talking, what I was doing was authorizing our application to hit your Dropbox account. The way that the NextToYou integration works is it actually uploads a CSV to your Dropbox account once an hour, and that CSV contains all of your customer satisfaction information, so we can pick that up every hour and dump that back into the system. Once you've granted access for CSP to pull that bit of information out of your Dropbox account, you can set up the tasks, which are to be scheduled inside of CSP directly. Simply, this is saying, hey, I want to import that CSAT information. You can actually set up integrations, not schedule any tasks, and we essentially won't do any work by clicking this box and saying, yep, I want to import my CSAT info. It's going to go ahead and do that. And then the last step of the wizard is just kind of giving you that summary breakdown, letting you know that we added the NextToYou pack to our environment, and we set up one recurring task for that. So really that's all it took to set up the NextToYou integration. Depending on what system it is, they all have their own integration requirements. ConnectWise, for example, we do require an integrator login, which you can set up within ConnectWise. Some of the other ones you can just use your standard account information to get logged into it. So it's no problem either way. We have steps to kind of guide you through those processes, and we also have integration guides on our doc site, which is just docs.connectsmart.com, to help guide you through the step-by-step detailed process of what to do in any other system, if there need be another process to go through. So once we've actually set that up, we have another page inside of the system for your scheduled tasks. As you can see, we've queued up CSAT. I have a whole bunch of ConnectWise tasks that have run, base import, nightly, hourly. We have a couple scripts to clean records up if you delete them, and then a quick refresh to pick up ticket modifications every minute for you. And so this allows you to kind of see all the processes you have running, what's queued up, what's ready to go. Some things are near real time. We can run a task every minute if we want to. Some of them we run a little bit less, but it's totally up to your system. When you click run, there might be a slight delay in it actually executing, but that's simply because we don't want to kill systems externally. So we try to take the slow and steady approach to importing data rather than hammering your boxes and just totally hindering performance as a whole. The next section we'll go into, while we're digging into a couple ways that this thing's bringing in your data, is the dashboard section. So out of the box, you'll get in. Most users don't really care about the widgets. They don't care about setting up their own data sources. So what is there to do in the system if I just want to look at information and I don't really want to put in any work? And so what we have in the system are a couple templates. Right now, these are just 4 of the ones I pulled out of our current catalog. And these come out of the box. When we provision your tenant, they'll be there. And we're constantly adding more to our catalog, and we're going to be exposing some new functionality from basically all of our pages to allow you to add content directly from our catalog. That way you can refresh it whenever you like. You can see what's in there. And we'll also be following that up with blasts on our newsletter, letting you know what's kind of available. So if there's something that piques your interest, you'll be able to grab it and slam it into your system with minimal level of effort. So just looking at the current sales activity dashboard, for example, this is a really powerful layout that a lot of our customers use. They found beneficial. It rolls up a lot of your sales-related information into one dashboard. We have various people internally that use it. We have, externally a whole bunch of clients that love to use this dashboard. And what it allows you to do is kind of just see what's going on in the sales world. And we have a whole bunch of other widgets centered around this, but this is just an example of one of our prepackaged dashboards to kind of give you guys the lowest level of entry possible to getting some value out of the product without, again, putting too much effort into customizing it directly for your team. So looking at a dashboard, what can we do here? That's probably the biggest question that you're curious about. So let's drill into some of the functionality. Some of the things that we recently added, which was in our CS4 product, if for those that have used that in the past, you're able to actually drill down same way you used to before. You can do things like select rows. I can choose to export out. Oops, click too many things. Sorry. Click the wrong one. Wants to be a little bit stubborn on me. Yeah, well, I was going to show you the export, but it's being a little bit stubborn right now, so we'll just move on. What you can do is you can actually drag columns, you can do group bys, look at your data a couple different ways, lets you collapse it, kind of see what's going on, and you can group by whatever columns you want to get the best angle of your drill down data possible. It kind of just allows you to see what's behind all of these metrics that you're looking at. And for the most part, we have drill downs built into just about everything. If there's revenue columns, we total them up at the bottom. There is, in fact, an export functionality that's just being a little bit stubborn, so you can get that into a spreadsheet, which also makes it handy if there's somebody that makes a request. They need to get that list of data. You can bring it out of the system, send it out in an email, and get that right into their hands with really no effort whatsoever. Some of the things we've also put in here are just 2 basic themes right now, just light and the dark. We're actually working on some new configuration parameters that will allow you to do things like color conditioning, skin things slightly differently, kind of get it more in line with your branding standards internally. And that's all stuff that's going to basically be coming out beginning of Q1 of next year. So we're really excited to get those features in there because it's going to allow you that total flexibility to change all these colors exactly how you want, highlight when things go over certain thresholds, and various other actions along those same lines. So some of the other things you can do while you're staring at the dashboard is we actually have the ability to filter right from the dashboard itself. And it's something that we didn't have in any of our previous products. Before you had to actually publish your dashboard with your filters set, And if I just go over to probably the best example possible, which is the personal dashboard, what this is this is a dashboard meant for one person. And so, you can put in an actual username of somebody within your organization. Oh, and that wants to be frustrating because that's not a valid user in this one. I'll just flip it to the other help desk. And that's what I get for testing on a brand new dashboard that I had not tested on before. So we're just going to go back and I'm going to flip one of these filters over here. The opportunity status. My demo environment does not like me today. So anyways, the filters, they're right there. They're available. You can set them. Problem is, when we provision your account, that won't show up. That's what I get for using my test box at the last minute. What we can do is go into an edit mode, so I continue kind of breaking down the different features that we have available to you. What this is a live edit mode. We actually allow you to click on gadgets right here. You can view the various options available to you, set different types, which are right here, apply them on the fly, and see kind of what your data would look like if it was represented using a different chart. So if I select one that actually has multiple series, we can flip through here. I'll do a line, we'll apply. So you can kind of see what your dashboard's going to look like while you're staring at it, which makes it really handy. Rather than going into widget by widget, tweaking things, you can now actually override them directly. Basically, requires no effort in understanding what the charts are. You can simply play around with font sizes, text, the various filters, the way those operate. We actually have actions for the drill down, so you can define how that all works. And as you can see, we're adding more and more of these configuration parameters, so you can actually set these directly on your dashboards with really minimal effort to get that done as well. Some of the other things you can do, which is obviously the basics: move things around, resize things accordingly, really position them how you would like to see them on your screen. You can always save that out, add new widgets to the dashboard. Really totally up to you how you want your information displayed and how you want it put on there. And also, if there's other things that you're looking for, we have a whole bunch of options. We have a long pipeline of features to put in. And so if there's certain things that are requested more than other things, we're happy to put those things in first. So we're always open to additional feedback from our customers with regards to kind of what they're looking for and what they're hoping to get out of the product as a whole. So outside of the basic layouts, let's go take a step down, another level deeper on the dashboard component area. We have now built into the product directly a widget creator. And what this allows you to do is, edit your catalog of widgets directly. So if you have something that is, used frequently, is a very consistent widget that you want on multiple dashboards, we recommend actually creating a widget out of it. We have a whole bunch of them to choose from. Just in my demo environment, I think there's about 70 loaded in for ConnectWise alone, and we have a whole bunch on our slate that we're currently porting over from our previous products to build out our continual catalog to make it as full-featured as possible. So as you can see, it's broken up into 3 main areas, very similar to when you were editing the dashboard directly. Same features, same options. When we edit it on the dashboard layout directly, you're actually overriding the widget settings. So let's say you have a widget that is standard across multiple dashboards layouts. What you can do is actually create one widget, and that'll be kind of your base. And then when you actually put it on a dashboard, you can override, a couple settings, maybe the font size, maybe the color, maybe you want to switch the type for that specific layout. It doesn't require you to set things up from scratch. Where they're set up from scratch is really inside of the widget creator. We have a whole bunch of data sources for you to play with. Let's say you don't like any of the widgets we have, you can actually look at the different types of information available inside of our system already and just start binding different types of charts to it, see what it looks like. set up custom filters for it, define how it's going to drill down into its data, and some of that will be discussed in detail, during our webinars next week, which I highly recommend you attend if you're interested in, actually creating widgets on your own, defining your own data sources, all of that other good stuff. It's, fully in there, fully baked in, and Jen is, excellent at guiding all of our end users through that process. And so if you're interested in finding out more on the details of this piece specifically, highly recommend the 2 webinars next week. So the last piece and the last level to customizations on the dashboard front specifically is the data queries. The data queries really are, the SQL queries that talk to your store to get the information in a format that you wanted it, basically. So what you can do when you edit the query, you can define, which types of widgets it's applicable to. That way, in that drop down with that long list that I just showed you, there's only going to be data queries that are appropriate for that type of widget that you're trying to create. You can see the query, you can see the parameters that map to that query, and it allows you to build that all inside of the UI. And so what our end users usually do is they talk to our store directly, they hammer out some queries, they get an idea of what they're looking for, and then they can drop it in here and actually see how it works against the real-time widgets that we have already baked in. If you're curious about how it works, you can also test it. It has execute. You can kind of see the values that come back, so you can make sure everything looks correct and is exactly what you expect. And if you actually just want to play with something that we already have baked in and you don't want to mess with anything that's already there, you can always duplicate widgets, which allows you to make a copy of it in the system. You can edit that freely, start building widgets, and really go to town on trying to, get the most value out of the dashboard component itself. So outside of the dashboard piece, the next core component are the reports, of course. So, for those that are familiar with our offerings, we actually have 2 designers. We have a deluxe designer and we have a snap designer. In this environment, I've dropped in 4 reports to look at. We have multiple ones. You can select the store. You have multiple options on that front to examine your information in the system. And we have ways to schedule reports, to view reports that are generated. And that way, when you email out reports, you can actually view inside the system what was emailed out. And I'll show you a little bit about that in a second. So this is just an executive summary report we're bringing up. We obviously don't want to go the whole year because it'll take a while to crunch. This analyzes a whole bunch of metrics. You can select service port on it, ticket type, and we also have other reports that are available in the catalog directly from our website today. So just by clicking submit, what it's going to do is it's going to send it out. It's going to generate your reports, so that way you can look at that information right inside of the web browser. So this report's a great one. It's personally one of my favorites. It shows you a lot of ticket trends, different ways of looking at the information inside of your service boards. What's kind of the priority layout of your tickets in the boards today. What day of the week am I getting the most tickets? What time of the day do I get the most tickets? Things along those lines. Really helpful charts for analyzing load and expectations as to when is the busiest day of the week and when do we constantly have the most demand for our technicians to kind of be available, get work done, whatever it might be. So it helps with planning over extended periods of time. This is just 1 month. You can span it 6 months and get really good trending on that. But this is one that we, again, just have baked right into it, ready to go for our end users. So another piece of the reporting component, because we know, you don't always want to log into a system. You don't always want to have to, go to the report browser, set my filters, do all of that good stuff. And so what we have baked into here is an actual scheduler. And the scheduler has some really nice features to it. Some of the things that we've baked in, I will just give this a name, give it a fake description. And what this does is it actually reads your parameters right off your report. The reason we do that is because we've built in macro support. So what that means is instead of predefining a date and time, meaning let's say you have a monthly report that you want delivered on the first of the month every single month. Well, you would have to go back in and schedule that every single time you want it delivered. But what we allow you to do is just say, hey, beginning of last month, I want it to be my start date. End of last month, I want it to be my end date. I only want to look at, my help desk, and that's about it. So I'm going to lock in those parameters. So when my report's delivered, it's going to process those, and it's going to, interpret what those macros mean and automatically substitute the real values. And then you have some delivery options. And what this allows you to do is, define who you want it to go to and what message should be included. And just the same as the parameters, we actually have macros on here as well. So let's say you wanted to actually put some details in there other than, hey, the person I'm trying to deliver it to and the URL of the report. You can actually put, start date in there, end date in there, and that way, which would be beginning and end of last month, beginning of last month. So you can actually substitute the macros in your message as well. That way it gives some flexibility. If there's additional macros you're looking for to auto substitute things, always open to that as well. And then, you can do rich text editing in here, so you can drop images in, you can drop tables, whatever it might be. So you can really customize your template to whatever your needs might be for that message that goes out, and then define, the schedule to utilize when that's sent out. So you can either run it once, meaning I just want to schedule this to run right now, shoot out to me whenever it's ready, or you can execute on a schedule, whether it's minutes, hours, days, weeks. That gives you flexibility on, how often you want the report delivered. And again, it's going to automatically interpret those macros to whatever their current values are and deliver them to you. So to expedite a little bit of time, I had already scheduled a report to be delivered to me. This is a basic, example of what I'm talking about. So this one was sent out. I actually delivered that executive summary report, I believe. And what you'll get is in this template, obviously the most straightforward of them all, just a simple message letting you know that, hey, you have the report that's ready to go. And this link actually brings up, this page directly. So you can see the same information, substitutes those macros in, and then you have a quick and easy link right in your inbox that's ready to go. I set the parameters the same way when I set this one up, so you'll notice beginning of last month is in fact November 1st, and the end is towards the end. I believe we didn't have any tickets on the last day, so gives you kind of an idea of what it looks like when you actually schedule that. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Haven't had too many customers that have had issues getting it up and going. So if you do, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to walk you through that, even if it's just to get a couple things adjusted, tweaks for you. We're happy to discuss that as well. And the last section on the reports is the generated reports. Again, this is just who it was delivered to, what time, what report is it, what's the name, and it allows you to also bring that up as well inside of the UI. If you don't have the email to refer back to, you can always go to the generated reports and pull it up from there. So the last section that I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about, because this is a section that's going to become very important to us as 2016 moves on, and we're hoping it becomes more and more valuable to all of our end users, is the pack editor. So the way that most traditional systems work is you actually build integrations outside of it, you hook them all in, and you feed your data using some other process or something else that's not totally available inside of the web application. And so what we do is we actually build our integrations inside of CSP directly. And the reason that we do that is not only so that they're portable, so that you can pull them out of the system, move them to other systems, whatever it might be, but we wanted to enable kind of the most complicated path possible into building an integration. So what that means is that if you have anybody in-house that is familiar with any software programming whatsoever, they can actually leverage everything that we leverage to build our integrations today. And just to kind of open up one of our more complicated ones, this is actually the ConnectWise pack. And as you can see, it's broken up into scripts to import various data. Our models are actually what we create inside of the store, so you can build it without ever looking at a database. Our procedures allow us to create views and different procedures in the database, automatically deploy those, and all of this stuff gets deployed when you add the pack to the store as a single unit. And then you can actually set up the triggers that are responsible for bringing data in. So you can reorder the way scripts are run, update scheduling options, whatever it might be. Really give you granular control over how scripts are executed to bring information in, how often they are run, what order they are run, and as long as today you have somebody that knows basic PHP programming, they can actually write integrations into CSP, and it's something that we're going to continue to flesh out and deliver to our customers, because we really want to empower them to actually build their own integrations rather than waiting on us to put everything together. So the reason I say we enable the most complicated path is because we actually put in the first level of our integration framework, and that is to open it up to solve any kind of integration problem. So by enabling scripting directly in here, and these are very basic scripts. I know it looks a little more complicated than it is, but once you break down what it's doing and how it's doing, it's actually not too complicated whatsoever. This opens it up to pull information out of other systems any which way you could get them using the language. And what this means is that we can solve 99.9% of the problems without doing anything special other than simply writing a script to just lift that data up and bring it in. And to give you an idea of how simple some of the scripts are, our NextToYou integration, which grabs that file out of Dropbox and imports it, is a whole whopping 40 lines of code to get that in. And so we have additional documentation and SDK information we're going to be releasing over the next few months here to kind of highlight how our stuff works, how you can actually get your hands on it. And what we'll be doing is opening up all of the packs so you get access to all the source code. We aren't too particular in hiding that from you. Our bread and butter isn't so much the actual import scripts and the integration packs themselves. We really want to give you guys the toolkit to define how you're getting your data and how to get the most value out of it. So outside of that even, what we do is we actually open up everything for you. And what I mean by that is, for example, in our cloud infrastructure, which is ConnectSMART SP.com, you can actually configure read-only accounts to pull information out of your stores directly. So what that means is you can open up any SQL client that supports MySQL today, connect to db.connectsmartsp.com. You're going to use these read-only accounts, and you set the password, you set the account, and you can actually pull your data out, look at it, see how it's presented to you, and use any other utility you want to visualize that data that you would like. So if there's other tools that you want to use instead of our built-in dashboard utility, you can actually hook to your data right in CSP. You don't have to worry about tying it to ConnectWise, figuring out how to pick up some Next.2 info, picking up some LabTech info or some Kaseya info. We can get that all into one place, and that way it makes it as easy as possible for you to tie whatever tools you want. If there's other tools that you're interested in using to render your data, visualize your data, we really open that all up to you. So the main goal of CSP as a whole is not only to centralize that information, but it's to open up all the other avenues for you to get access to it. And one of the things that we're going to be releasing very soon here as well is our formal API. There are ways to communicate with your stores through a RESTful API, and so we're going to be opening those up as well. So if you want to write integrations to synchronize data in or out of your store using some other means, that'll be available as well. So we can continue marching down the path that really just allows you to kind of centralize, tie together, and make it as easy as possible for you to get access to all of your data at once rather than trying to go to system A and go to system B for the most part. So That pretty much completes the basic overview of CSP as a whole. For those customers that are interested in even a trial account, if you're on CS4, we have a link available that we're going to be posting on the website by tomorrow, actually. So if you click on that free trial, you can create your own trial account. It takes about 10 seconds, and you can jump right into your environment. You can set up your integrations to pull in your ConnectSWise data. It'll come preloaded with all of your dashboards and reports out of our catalog, so you can actually set up your import, look at your stuff, and see if kind of CSP fits the mold for what you're looking for, as well as, if you want to just take a look, give us some feedback in terms of what you think would be interesting to see, some features or integrations that are really at the top of your list. We're very open to discussions along those lines, and so we're happy to engage with our customers, figure out what we can get on the roadmap, which we will be publishing by the end of this month for the whole of 2016, so you can stay in line with what's going on with ConnectSMART as a group, and that'll just kind of increase the level of transparency that we're striving for with our customers in terms of what's going on, where are we going, and how you can best fit our tool for the most part. So again, next week, for those interested in the dashboards, we actually have 2 webinars next week related to the dashboard. So I highly suggest getting on that bandwagon if you're curious about how to use the basics behind the dashboards, as well as dive a little deeper into the data and the information that we bring in. Jen Coffey's going to be doing that. She's excellent and awesome. And so if you want to find any more information about that, feel free to shoot me an email directly. I'll point you in the right direction. My email address is very difficult. It's patrick@connectsmart.com. Feel free to drop me a line with any questions, any comments you might have, and I'll be happy to get back to you and see how we can help you out. That concludes the webinar. I appreciate everyone taking a little bit of their time today to join me for a quick walkthrough. And again, my email is patrick@connectsmart.com. If you have any additional questions or comments you'd like to toss my way. Thanks, everyone, and have a great day.